Hello and welcome to Colin's Wonder. This is actually my first video on this channel. This channel is just a playground for me to share and create videos and just have fun. So today what I have for you is a currently inked video. I'm just going to show you all of my fountain pens that I have currently inked, and I'll talk a little bit about the ink that's inside them. So let's see here. I'm just gonna go to my little bullet journal. Kind of use this journal for tracking tasks to help me stay productive, but it's not a strict format, following, bullet journal etiquette, I guess. So there's actually an order to this. So I'm going to start out with this Twsbi. So this is Twsbi Diamond. And inside this pen is a diamine ancient copper. So let's do this. What I'm going to do is, I think each month I'm just going to ink up in my bullet journal what pens I'm currently inking and using. I don't change inks often, so I don't know if I'll keep doing that or not, but I'm just going to swatch it like this big thick one. So let's see, this is ancient copper. So yeah. Again, this is in a Twsbi 580 diamond. All right, next I have a Pilot Custom 823. So in this pen, I have Diamine's Writer's Blood. This is actually one of my favorite inks to write with. I just really like how it feels when the ink is rolling on the paper, or flowing on the paper, I should say. It just, in any pen I put it in, it just seems to flow really well and just feels really good. I actually like the color too. So Writer's Blood. And normally I think people put like what pen it's in and all that, but I'm not actually, maybe I should do that. So this is in just so I know what's in what, it is in what pen. So this is in the Pilot Custom 823. So some of the things is I kind of like, I don't know if Writer's Blood will ever come out of this pen. And in fact, Ancient Copper has never come out of this pen. This is one of the first pens I had, and it's always used Ancient Copper. So this is in the Twsbi 580. So yeah, I'm not trying to do anything too fancy. It's just kind of, putting what inks I have in what pen. So this is in an Asvine V126. It's very much like the Pilot Custom 823. Should I say it's kind of a clone of that, but this pen's $30 and that pen is not. And I got this pen before I got that one just to make sure that I actually liked, I just liked the pen, So I have, this is one of my favorite of the Asvine pens. So yeah, and in this pen is a Lamy ink. Lamy. It's dark lilac, and it's the newer one. Came out. It's supposed to be like a dark purple, but it looks brown to me. It's never looked purple. So it's dark. By, well, I guess I'm not writing by who it's by, but that's okay. I'm letting you know who it's by, and I know who it's by. This is just more for my reference, and I thought I had fun recording it. So, and this is in B2. Nope, this is the B126. Sorry. This ink will probably not stay in this pen. Once I run out. I'm the ink. I like how it writes. I don't like how it looks. All right. So the next up is Hongdian. This is the N7, and this is a gray pen. And in it, I have a Pilot. Let's see, Pilot. Here, I can't remember. I always think of it as a Pilot ink, but Pilot Shizuki. I'm just gonna call it Pilot ink. Man, it makes me want to start all over, but just a Pilot ink in this pen. So I'm not good at pronouncing things under pressure, especially. Not that I'm under a ton, but Shizuki. Yeah, it's spots in my head, you know, my memory. So, anyways, this is oh. So, I guess I could also tell you the size, but this is Hongdian. N7. This is an extra fine nib. I'll go through all these again. This is extra fine. I probably, if I got these again, I have two of them. I probably would try fine. I feel like extra fine is, you know, I kind of want to see what a fine is. For me personally, I kind of like my line thickness between a fine and a medium. This one is a fine nib. This Pilot 8 Custom 823 is a fine nib. And interestingly enough, the Twsbi is a medium nib. Or the Twsbi Diamond. Actually, both my Twsbis are a medium nib. So yeah. Next up, we have a Montblanc pen. This is a special edition model. It's the JFK pen. It was one of my first pens that I got. It was one of the more premium ones. But I had to wait a very long time to get it. I ordered it from a local store, and I had to wait a long time for it to actually arrive. And in that time, I bought a lot of other pens. It is also a medium nib. And in this pen is Tsukiyo. It's by Pilot. I think it's Shizuku or something. I don't know. Oh, I put this on the. That's not what I normally do. And I'm messing this up. Forgive me, my first video. I'll get this in time. So this is in my Montblanc. So interestingly enough about this pen, when I got it, it had a bit of a break-in period that was needed before it started to write really well. I first put Montblanc ink in it, and it was awful. I hated the writing experience. Um, and that might be a property of the ink more so than the pen. But after a while, this pen started to warm up, and now it's a beautiful writer. So also in that same stroke, this Laban, I have a Laban 325. It's the Ocean variant, and I really loved how this part of the pen looked. They never showed it capped, right? They showed them separately, and I really love how this looks. But I actually don't like how this pen looks when it's capped. So this is the same ink that's in the Montblanc. And interestingly enough, this one, I don't know if anyone else knows what I mean by when I say that. I feel like Lamy pens, they have a kind of like special writing experience to them. And this pen feels similar to a Lamy to me. It kind of feels like a fine tip Sharpie or something. Not quite that, but it almost feels like a Lamy when I write with it, which isn't bad. I do like how Lamys feel when I write with them, but it's just a little interesting. All right, next up, I have an Asvine B200. I'm planning on doing like a full review of all these pens and a pen battle in the future. And one thing I wanted to say about this pen is I love how this pen looks. I love it much better than the P36, specifically because of this, how the cap and the clip look. I don't like how the clip looks on the P36. It irritates me. But these little rubber things, they keep falling off. I'm surprised I haven't lost either of them, but they can get stuck on when you slide them in and out of like the case, or I have a little pocket protector I put on the inside of one of my jackets, and when I slide it in and out, these will often pop off. I kind of wish that was not a thing. So that's one improvement I can see out of the gate for this, is to somehow improve that mechanism so this little rubber seal doesn't come off easily, or maybe it's inside the cap, I don't know, or doesn't even need it. But I do love how this pen looks. I might look for something a little more premium in the future. I have in my eye on a couple of them, but this vacuum fill system too, I really like. So this is Montblanc's Midnight Blue. This was the ink I put in the Montblanc pen, and it didn't write too well. This ink does feel a little bit drier. It doesn't really feather on like papers that have problems with feathering. So there are advantages to that, but it was not a I was like, a Montblanc ink and a Montblanc pen makes sense, but it didn't work well, and I replaced the ink and took a while, warmed up the Montblanc, and it started writing wonderfully. But yeah, I do like this ink. It does grow on me. Just maybe I'll try it again in that pen. I don't know. Let's see, Midnight Blue. And this is no. Maybe I will figure out what format I'm doing this in the future. Whoops, backwards. There, when I say what format, I mean I'll have it properly, like laid out on how I'm gonna do these inking, currently inked videos. I just kind of winged this for now. So, yep. All right. I apologize if I'm spending too much time on some pens and not enough time on others, but I'm just kind of winging it here. Next up, we have this pen. This pen has a little bit of an interesting story. We ordered it custom from a nib Neister company overseas, and it got lost in the mail. So for months, and then eventually it just showed up on her door. So the brand is like Admock, I think. It's a Chinese brand. I think it's a knockoff of a Pelican. Um, that said, I'm not a big fan of this pen. The nib grind, I can't really tell much of a difference between some of my other pens, but it was specifically designed to write Chinese characters better. So that might be part of the issue. But in this pen is a Laban ink, and this ink is very watery. It almost feels like watercolor, I don't know, but the ink is Artemis by Laban. It is in my Admon. I don't know what the model is or much about this pen. This was just one of the first pens I ordered. One thing I do not like about this pen, and I probably would not recommend anyone to get it. Well, there's two things. There's a little bit of a gap in between here and here, like it jumps. It's not a smooth transition. I don't like that. I feel like the diameter of this just needs to be slightly wider to give a more seamless feel there. I just don't like that. And then the other thing is there is no protection of over tightening this. I don't really tighten any pens really that hard, but I've over tightened this one twice. And if you over tighten it, it just will keep screwing. Like it's like destroying the threads in there or something. Yeah, I think it's a poor design. That's just, yeah, I don't like it at all. So I don't know how long this pen will last. It hasn't dried out on me at all. But yeah, I don't know how long it'll last. Next up is this Asvine P20. Now this pen is gorgeous looking. I love this pen. This is probably it's probably my favorite Asvine pen. I love this ink window. Let's see. I do. I'm just gonna do a momentarily pause here in my currently ink just to show you what I think is a huge improvement. See, this is seamless here. I love that. But I love this ink window. I love how this pen looks. I love how this roller clip here works. When I just slide it into my pocket protector, it just slides very easily because of that roller clip. But what I love about this ink window is I have another Hongdian. This one's not inked. This was one of the first Hongdians I got. But see this ink window? It's inside the cap, which is fine, but they don't use a high quality scratch resistant plexiglass or acrylic or whatever this is. So this kind of getting scratched up by just taking the cap on and off. Yeah, I don't like that. I love this pen. Don't get me wrong. I love how it writes, but especially for $30 or $26 or however much I spent. But this pen's the same price, and I love this ink window. I think it's based off of a Leonardo pen, and I actually will put that on my list to purchase, just because I love this pen so much. If any, there's two two Asvines that I really like, and this is one of them. It just looks beautiful too. So, anyways, enough of me going on about that. One thing I wish was improved is the nib is not very pretty to look at. But inside this pen is Blue Velvet by Diamine. I think it's one of their special edition inks. I like this ink a lot. It flows really well. And this is in my Asvine P20. Yeah, I like this pen a lot. All right, next up. This pen, I love how this pen looks. I loved how it looked when I saw it on the website that I ordered off of. Shout out to Goulet Pens. But when I first got it, it was a rough experience. I did not like how it wrote. And then the other thing is, I don't know if you can see this, but this feed mechanism and the nib, they've never been aligned. It's like borderline hanging off there. I almost returned it before I even inked it because it looked so bad when I first got it. Fortunately, it writes okay. I mean, it took a little bit for me to, I guess, work the pen in, kind of like the Montblanc, before it started to write okay. It's a little scratchier, but that's kind of expected if you've ever used like a calligraphy pen. They're not the smoothest writers, but this is by far better than any calligraphy pen I've used. Not that I've used a lot. I've only used them a couple of times, but the more I use this pen, the better it seems to get. Let's see, what ink do I have in here? Oh yeah, I have Konpeki. This is another Pilot ink, and the fancy thing about this nib, so this is a Magna Carta. I think it's Mag. Kind of funny that Magna Carta Mag 600. But this pen has a very flexible nib, so you can do some crazy things, you know. So it's kind of cool to that extent. It's kind of pricey, and it does kind of have this homemade feel to it. Like, I don't know, just when I open it and feel like the unpolished surface of how it was turned on a lathe. I think it was turned on a lathe. But not, there's some unpolished parts in there. It's not bad, but it's just it just kind of feels like a little homemade vibe to it. Not quite as polished as some of the other pens are, but the outside is extremely polished. I love how it looks. It's a great looking pen. And now that it's actually functioning pretty well, it's not so bad. All right, next up, Jinhao X450. I have a few of these. These actually came in the same order that that AdMock came. We just ordered a bunch of pens from overseas to play with them, to experiment with some inks you wouldn't put in the more expensive pens, and just to see, you know, how they compare. Out of all the brands, they do have some hit and miss pens. I love how the X450 feels in my hand. I have 3 of them. I love the weight. I like a little bit of a heavier pen. I'm not a big fan of the cap pull off. It's a little too hard to pull off. So sometimes when I pull, I can shoot ink out everywhere. I like how the nibs look. You know, for being as cheap as this pen is. We got it extremely cheap. But this pen, out of all the pens I've had, is notorious for getting my hands covered in ink. So I found that it can seep through this little seal here. When I was cleaning it and squirting water through, it started to bubble through there. So I was like, that's how I'm getting all of this ink all over my fingers, because I was being very careful not to, you know, touch the feet or anything. Okay, enough about that. So this ink is a newer ink by Pelican. See, this is what I do. If I have any like glitter inks, I'm not a big fan of glitter inks usually, but you know, anything with that's blue, as you can notice, I got a lot of blue in here. Anything that's blue, I'll probably give a try. But generally speaking, I don't have a lot of shimmer inks. Sheening's another thing. I do like some sheening, but this one has some gold shimmer in it. So what did so this golden lapis or gold lapis? I don't remember. Just gold lapis. It's by Pelican. I will show you when it dries what it kind of looks like, and this is in Jinhao X450. But it will have some gold shimmers in there. I can already see some now. Let me get this up here. When it dries, you'll see a lot more, but if you can see that shimmering there. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I do kind of like that. You know, if I was going to do any shimmer, blue and gold is a solid bet. All right, next up, it's a Twsbi Kai. I bought this at a local store that I like. We only have 2 stores locally that sell pens, so I try to support them whenever I can. They don't carry everything, so but they did carry this, or you know, one of them carried this. So sorry, Goulet Pens or whoever else, I would have bought this online. It's technically cheaper, but I got to support the local guys too, because I want to have, you know, local pen stores near me. So anyways, this pen, I really like how it looks. I really like it has some metal threads. The Montblanc has metal threads, but I think all my other pens are all plastic threads. I could be wrong. Those are only 2. I do like that because I feel like it's not going to wear out as much. But I will say there's this whole nib and feed can unscrew as well, and sometimes it comes loose just a little bit, and I have to tighten it back up. But other than that, this pen's pretty much performed just as well as the diamond. And in this pen is one of my favorite inks. It is a Polar Glow by Diamine. And this is Twsbi. All right. Yep, love this pen. All right. Now, onto these guys back here on this back row. This is the infamous Lamy 2000. I do like how it looks, but it doesn't quite match the other pens. I like how there's this it's a piston filler and it unscrews in the back. I love how precise the machining and how precise this pen's built, that you can barely see the line where that comes apart. I really appreciate that precision there. You know, that's not easy to accomplish. And the one thing about Lamy pens is they all write very well. They're I've never had a Lamy feed and nib that have been misaligned. They have a mechanism in there that kind of wraps around the feed that just holds it in place. So I've never had it come out of place and shift. I have some other pens that I'll talk about in the future that do that, and it drives me crazy. But yeah, I love this pen. It is light and kind of an everyday pen. So let's see, what do I have in this one? Oh yeah, this is a peacock ink, but it's not in the peacock pen anymore. This is the peacock pen. So this is, I think it's Chaku. Again, it's another Pilot ink. Lamy 2000. And it's just a great writer. It technically has a gold nib, but I can't really tell any difference. But I really like how this actuates. So I have some other pens that I just try to clip into, you know, I don't have it here with me, but I have a little pocket protector that goes inside a suit jacket, or, you know, just a little dress jacket. And having this mechanism, or any mechanism that allows it to slide in and out of that, is a bonus for me. Whereas pens like, let me find one. This guy. So I don't know if you can see that, but over time this bent. And that is a horrible experience. I can never bend that back. And I kind of hate this pen. More to come on this pen later, but this is one of my, I've loved how this pen looked when I bought it. The more I used it, the more I hated this pen. All right. Next up is this jewel. This pen is made by Ferris Wheel Press. And it is gorgeous. I love this. It doesn't have any clip, but I feel like adding a clip is just going to make this pen ugly. But this pen is magnificent. I love the two-tone colors. The only thing I would say is, I don't know, the nib isn't ugly per se, but the level of polish and everything else on this pen versus the nib is kind of flat. I just feel like it doesn't work as well. If the nib was a little more polished and shiny, I think it would be a lot better. But anyways, I love this pen. And in this pen, I have another one of my favorite inks that I seem to put in a lot of pens more than I should. It is one of the inks that I use the most. It is Emerald of Schwar. It's by J. Urban. That is in call it Ferris Wheel Press. So I don't want to type the whole thing out. Yeah, I love this pen. What a gorgeous pen. No regrets buying this pen. All right. Does roll around on the table, so you got to be careful with it. It is normally in this case. I just have things switched around because there's like an order to the color of the inks I'm doing. So, all right. Next up, we have a Sailor 1911L. I don't like short pens, and how do I say this? I don't really like posting them either. So I prefer when I can just hold a pen. This is borderline like too short, and this is a large one. So I think any other Sailor, I'm gonna have to either get something bigger than this, or it would have to be posted, which I don't like to do. But that's just me. But yeah, this has a 21K gold nib. Not that it really matters, honestly. Like the gold material, or the material of the nib, is harder to tell for me. Like how, like it's not necessarily an indicator of how well it's gonna write or how it feels to write with. But this one feels great. And in this pen, it's an ink. I think it's called Mirror. It might have something else. I call it Mirror. It's by Ferris Wheel Press. This is in my Sailor 1911. I do like this pen. That ink is a little dry, but this pen can handle it fine. I forgot about the nib sizes. Again, I need to go over my whole format so I can be a little more consistent. Maybe I'll pre-fill out all the columns so I know what to put in each line. I don't skip around. But this has a medium nib, and it's funny because Sailor's fine is really fine, and their medium is like really thick. So I'd want something in between their fine and medium. I had writer's blood in this one, but it was way too like wet. I had to switch it to a drier ink. Thus, I put Mirror in it. With Mirror, it's fine. But if I put a really wet ink in this, it's just too thick of a line for me. So, but I do like this pen. I'm not the biggest fan of cartridge converter pens, even though I have a lot of cartridge converter pens. So that is one reason I do like Pilots more than Sailors, is I don't really know of any non-cartridge converter Sailors. And then I have another pen here. This is a Jinhao X850. So out of all the Jinhaos I have, I have the X450, the X850, and I have one coming up later. I think it's just called the 100. But this is my favorite. This is the only one I probably would buy again or recommend someone to buy if they want a Jinhao. Jinhao pens, they are the brand that I have the biggest issue with hard starts or slow starts, the pen drying out. But this pen does not have that issue as much as the others. I like the weight of it, and I do like how it is a screw cap. I like it a lot. So let me think. I can't remember what ink is in this one. So, oh wait. I think it, no, yeah, I know, I remember now. So one of the green ones. So it is, if I can write, Shin, I think it's Ryoku. It's a Pilot ink. And this is in the Jinhao X850. So yeah, this is actually a quality pen. I can recommend this to people. I don't know how much it is. All the Jinhaos and the Admok we bought, and they got lost, and eventually it arrived, but I have no idea how much it would be cost in the US. I could maybe look it up before I'd recommend it to someone, just because the Asvine quality is so high relative that it's hard to recommend other brands over it for the same price range. But if you like this look of pen, you know, and you don't want to, you know, pay for something more expensive, it's a good starter or starting point. All right, this is another Jinhao X450, and I already said a lot about this pen. This is one of the weirder looking ones. I probably won't ink this one again once it runs out. But we got what? Yeah, we got some ink, and I needed a pen to put the ink in to try it out. So that was this pen. So I actually love the ink that's in it. So this ink is hard to come by in the US, but it is called a Mood of a Day. And it is by Lamy. It's part of a collection for Van Gogh. There's like a Van Gogh color palette. And it is one of the inks in that, and I just loved it so much. I bought the entire collection. Like Almond Tree, I think. I can't remember. But I love this one. All right. These last two I'm gonna have to do something clever with. Don't have enough lines, but here's another Asvine V126. I really like this one. So do I like it more than the P20? No, but it is if you like that demonstrator pen look for how cheap this pen is, it is a bargain. I've had zero issues with it. So the filling mechanism on the Asvine is, you know, the same as the Pilot 823. The Pilot works better. One pump of the Pilot fills it all the way up. This one, it does not. When I say all the way up, it's like there's still air in there, but I mean, it's just like I don't need to do more than one pump on this. It's full. This one I need to like fiddle with it to get it full. Also, just the plunger mechanism feels better in the Pilot. The quality of the Pilot is better, but I mean the Pilot costs a significant amount more. So if you take that into account, it's hard to beat this pen. It's magnificent. Let's see, what ink did I put in here? I will hopefully remember. Oh, yes. I remember. Okay, I don't know. This is a new ink for me. So let's see. It is Taki? No, yeah, Takia. I think it's Takia. So I think that's the brand, and then it's Seibi Midori. I think. This ink is cool. It changes its color. It has some shading properties, so it goes from like green to brown. I really like this ink. I'm just gonna put it here. It's in the 26. I like this ink a lot. This is a better version of the dark lilac. I can actually see the green in it and the brown. And I think if it has some sheening properties. Um, yeah, I like this ink a lot. It writes well. It feels good to write with. All right. Last up is another Jinhao. I think it's just Jinhao 100 skeleton. I don't really know for sure. I don't like this pen. I probably won't ink it up after it runs out. It'll just go into storage. I'm just not a big fan of how it looks, and it's a cartridge converter, which kind of clinks around inside if I'm not careful. It's not doing it now, but I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like this pen. It is it writes well though. I will say that. This one as a writer writes better than the X450s. It does write better. So in this one, the other thing about the Jinhaos is they are kind of like water cannons. A lot of ink comes out. So this is supposed to be a purple ink. So this is a Amethyst by J.R. Bond. And it is supposed to be a purple ink too. But it's hard to tell because there's so much ink comes out. We'll see how it looks when it dries. So that's a lot of inking and a lot of me rambling on. If you made it this far, thank you for staying until the end. Hopefully it's not too bad. My hope is that in time I will improve and make more interesting videos, but I'm just trying to have fun, see how it goes. Do this when I'm, on the weekends as a hobby. But yeah, let's see if you can see these inks. Wonder if I need to adjust the camera settings. All right. Well, have a wonderful day, and thanks for stopping by.